Hello and welcome back to the Xenologue. This is going to be the final episode, and it's been a while since the last actual episode of the Xenologue, but there has been a lot going on. There has been an extreme amount of grinding, there's been a lot of planning, and I believe we are ready to do the final map. Now, our goal in the final map is to kill the boss in one cycle. The reason we want to kill them in one cycle is that involves having to do the entire rest of the map. The entire rest of the map is not really possible without basically a complete redoing of our party, and that's not going to happen. So, let's go into the menu, let's depart, and let's head to the Xenologue. Welcome to the final fight of the Xenologue. I have been trying to get this to work for a long time, and I've finally found a way for us to kill Fel-Nil in one turn. It's not pretty, it's got a little RNG involved, but it will work. By that I mean I have done one attempt, not recorded, which got to the point where I could have pressed a button to kill the boss, but didn't because I don't want to see any story content we haven't seen yet. So, I'm going to click fight, and I'm going to talk you through exactly what the plans are here. So, let's go. I'm also going to skip the dialogue we've heard before, just for the sake of moving this forward. So, first things first, Saphir. I'm going to switch you to using Steel Bow. That is the very straightforward thing that I'm going to do to start with here. This is because it is very useful if we can get one damage done by a backup unit. So, Saphir is here to provide one damage. That is her job. Now, in terms of everything else, the entire plan centers around a couple of abilities. Reprisal Plus, which gives 50% of lost HP to attack, and Holdout Plus Plus Plus. This means that if you are really low on health, you're going to get a huge amount of extra attack. Like, say, if you actually manage to survive on 3 HP, you're going to get 47 divided by 2, so you're going to get like 23 and a bit extra attack. That is incredibly useful. I, by the way, didn't choose 3 as a random example. We should end up on 3 HP if everything goes right. We also have Sword Power 5. This gives us 10 extra attack, meaning that on top of the extra attack we're going to get here, we get 10 extra. We're also then going to use Liberation. Liberation is going to give us an extra 15 attack. So before we even look at the boss, we are doing a huge chunk of extra damage. I think it's something like 48, 49 extra damage. It's huge. Now, what we're then going to do is we're going to debuff the boss with a collection of debuffs. We're going to buff ourselves up even more, and we're going to give ourselves just a huge amount of extra stats. But we're going to give them we're going to give us these stats in like +1, right? So we're going to basically add tons and tons of little +1s, which will allow us to defeat the boss.
All right.
But before we do that, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to just attack the boss. And this should do pretty much nothing. We are going to get 1 damage from the chain attack, which is quite nice, but beyond that, this should do nothing. Now, I did used to run Tamara when I was testing this. Now, the reason why you might want to use Tamara instead of using someone like, I'm sorry, I forgot. It's someone like Saphir. I don't know why I forgot her name. I think I even said it this episode. Anyway, I've been trying this a while. The reason why you might want to use Samira instead of Saphir is that you can see that Fel-Nil has a 6% crit. Now, Fel-Nil will only have a 6% crit for this one attack, but it is really annoying if you get crit on this attack because you instantly have to restart the fight. So, let's find out if that's the case. Do we have to restart the fight? No. Okay, that's good. Now, we're not expecting Saphir to necessarily hit, and I think that you've got things to make it less likely that we hit. But if she hits 1, then we're really good. Or if she hits a couple, we're even better, right? That's all we're really looking for here. Now, we can actually get some more because we're running Kagetsu here. He has dual assist, which means there is a 70% chance that on any one he could do a chain attack as well. He can also miss on his chain attacks, but we have a lot of opportunities to get that +1. I don't think it's necessarily necessary for us to defeat the boss. It just makes it a lot less, like, tight. Anyway, next thing we're going to do is use Torrential Roar. The reason we're using Torrential Roar here is this just applies Draconic Hex. That's it, which means that all of these stats now have a minus to them. So we've got -4 here, -4 here, is very, very good. Now, we're going to use Ivy. Ivy is going to use her book, and she's going to attack with her fire book. Now, this will apply Anima Focus, which will inflict a -3 to defense onto the boss. This means the boss is going to have even less defense. I think you can see where this is going. There is a chance we get crit. Here's the thing. If we get crit, I actually don't care because none of these characters are permanently dead anyway, as we got that message when we load up this map. It basically says, no, go all out. So let's go all out. Cool. Didn't get crit. So we can now see that the boss is -7 to defense. Fantastic.
Give me a
The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to move Veil to this square. Veil has two things. First of all, Veil has Fell Protection. This is 1 extra damage, and it means that she takes 3 less damage. The second thing she has is actually a piece of DLC that we weren't playing with before I tried to do this fight. Now, the reason we have this piece of DLC is that I tried this fight and I ended at 3 HP, and we needed just the tiniest little bit of extra attack to do it. This is the DLC that originally you got for linking your game to Fire Emblem Heroes, which I never did. Now, I did the whole process of linking my game to Fire Emblem Heroes and all of that. Turns out, you don't need to do that anymore. What you need to do is you need to go to the eShop and just download the free DLC, and it gives you access to 3 rings plus 3 weapons. One of the rings is this ring, which gives you 2 extra attack. So, that's your use, Veil. You are 3 attack in total. Aaron, you are going to use Rally Plus. This adds 3 to all 7 basic stats, which means that the basic stats are even higher for us. So we're currently sitting at 51 physical attack compared to 29 defense. Very, very good. Now, Nell has Veronica on, and now because Nell is technically a dragon, that means that Veronica grants strength, magic, defense, and res, which is very, very good. Now, it's worth noting that every time we use Contract, this applies that buff again, which just doesn't seem right, but it is. We're then going to use Roy. We're going to engage. This gives us 6 extra levels, which raises our stats again. So now when we attack, we are going to do some significant damage. Also, you can see that our HP will go down to exactly 3, the number I mentioned earlier. It's like I've tried this a few times, huh? There we go. We get hit, and then we hit again. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to dance. This gives us another turn. Now, Seadoll also has Sigurd on, which means that we can now move into this square. This is very important because what we're going to do on the next turn is we're going to use Byleth to give people more turns, and we need a gap between the Divine Dragon and Seadoll.
I'll never yield.
So, now we're going to attack with Liberation. Let's go. Miss. Miss. Okay, I don't think I'm getting the random extra damage. Although, wait a second. It just missed us. That's interesting. I don't think that matters at all. But that might actually be bad for us. The reason that might be bad for us is that now means that when I heal with Kagetsu, we're going to end up healing a little bit more than we would normally heal.
Where to?
I'm hoping that doesn't matter. Anyway, Celestia has Eliwood's S, which now means that we can move Nell and Veronica back
Come
on.
and face me.
Kagetsu's going to come in here and is going to use Goddess Dance. Goddess Dance on Kagetsu is an extra +4 to strength, plus the extra turn. So, we now have an extra +4 to our strength. And we had quality time on Kagetsu, which gives us 5 extra HP. This is not ideal, because it means we're going to, in theory, do less damage, but actually it's going to end up absolutely okay. We're going to end up killing it. That's fine. Okay. Hey, we got the one attack, but I don't think it matters. You see how it's got 2 left? If we got a couple more lucky attacks, we would have ended up killing it on our first hit, meaning it wouldn't have got return hit. Doesn't matter too much. Right. Next move is we're going to come in here and we're going to use Contract. Contract will, once again, raise all of the stats. We're going to use Saphir here. And Saphir is, first of all, going to switch to the Silver Axe. And second of all, going to Shove now, which just feels good. Usheron is going to head over here and is going to use Physic, which will heal us up slightly. And now we can attack with a huge amount of extra damage. It's going to put us back down to 1, but we already knew that, and we're perfectly okay with that. Both of those miss. Hopefully neither of those matter. We hit again. Right, then we're going to move Seadoll over here, and we're going to dance. And we're going to move out the way. This now means that we can attack again, and we haven't quite killed it because it didn't hit us, therefore we didn't actually take damage previously. Yep, so we have actually failed on this attempt. But it was actually very successful up until that point. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to time crystal back a little bit to... where was it? So to this attack. So because we didn't get hit on this attack, we didn't do enough damage. So I'm going to go back to this one. We're going to find Maddening here, and she is going to attack the boss. This isn't going to go very well for Maddening.
So, Mavi,
but
help yourself.
This will be fine.
I don't hold a grudge.
So, we now attack. Does absolutely nothing. That's fine. So the reason we did that is that should change the RNG on this next attack when we really, really want to be hit here. So, please hit us. So we hit it. It hits us. Perfect. So now we're doing slightly more damage than we were doing before. Now what we do is we run in here, we dance, and we're actually going to stay... Let's stay still. That might heal us more than I would want. No, that's fine. 10's fine. Right, then we attack again. And this is the kill. Let's go. Hold out. And 1 turn. Kill. You got 1 HP? Okay. That's because the chain attack missed, right? Okay, we have 2 options here. We're going to go back to this one. Okay. Option number 1. How much does this heal by? That looks like that's more than 10. It's 21. Okay. So we're going to reverse that one. Okay. Option number 2 is we do dance here as we were going to do it anyway. We then end our turn here. And we're going to attack. Hopefully this doesn't kill him, but I mean, if it does, I mean, that's a price I'm willing to pay.
You. Does that...
Right.
If you're gonna... I must have... Do you understand?
Gregory, you're trying your best. Okay, Gregory is dead for now.
Really hurt.
And now we're going to attack again. And this should be the kill, assuming that we get a single hit. We didn't get it, huh? Alright, well, that's not good. And I think we're dead now. We'll see, though. Maybe not. Maybe not. We're dead.
Is this... Please stand up.
That is a huge number of kills. In fact, we are thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly dead.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I think we're ready to try this one more time. Although, for once, I'm actually happy to keep the failure in the video. That showed exactly what I wanted to do, and showed why RNG is very, very slightly in this run. It's very close. All we need to do is do a tiny bit of damage, or have the boss not miss us on a hit, or whatever, right? We just need to get the right things happening in the right moments. I'm kind of annoyed that no chain attack hit and we ended at 1 HP, but 1 is very close to killing it. Very close. I've forgotten what his debuff is, actually. We should have a look at that as well. Right. Attack. So what's his debuff to us at hitting with chain attacks? Reduces or makes the accuracy always 10%. Okay, so
I'll do my
yeah,
best.
it is very low odds, but anyway. Liberation. Attack. Okay, skip that. So we hit, we get hit. That's exactly what we expected to happen.
All is
Head in here. Oh, also, nice thing to point out here, we did not get
Do you?
we did not get the random bad hit on us here, so that's good. I should have been using the steel bow. That's okay. You're going to head in here, and you're going to attack with your fire one. I don't know why I decided that you had to be in this mode, but that's fine. Right. We get hit back. Weirdly, if the boss just consistently hit us, we would be in a much better spot than we were last time. Which is kind of... It's odd, where it's like, the boss was more accurate, we would be doing better. It's like, that's unusual. Contract.
I'll manage.
Engage. Attack. Liberation. Let's go. So. Hey, there's 1 damage. That's cool. Nice. We end at 3.
The stage
We then
is mine.
dance. Take a step back. Then once again
Stay
we
strong.
attack. So, attack. Okay. Hold out. Perfect. There's a ton of damage. We're then going to take you.
Go.
And we're going to use draw back. Then move in here. Then we're going to use Goddess Dance. This buffs and leaves us much lower than we were previously, because now we are not like we don't have the extra one for not being hit. Now the reason why this is very important is you'll notice that is going to leave us at 6, because we're going to do 19 damage with our hit. So hitting 1 chain attack actually helps us significantly here, because it means instead of having to find a way to heal to a very low amount of HP, we're actually fine. That means that when I come in here and use Contract, we don't need to do a heal with Boucheron, we're actually already good to go. So now we use Liberation. So same thing here. 1 is quite nice. Okay, so we hit 2 chain attacks, which is very unlikely actually, as we've seen. Okay, shove. Head in here, let's do a little dance. Nice. Just move out of the way. Yeah, might as well just heal you while we're here. Boucheron does his fantastic impression of a healer. There we go. Now we attack, and you'll see this is a kill without any chain attacks. In fact, I don't even have my person able to chain attack. I guess Kagetsu can still chain attack, but that's fine. This is the kill. Let's go. So, as you can see, a lot of optimization went into getting that just right. And even then, it wasn't quite right. Oh, connecting to the servers.
I am defeated? This cannot be! Father! Father!
The bracelets. Where did they go?
They disperse when their duty is done.
Then I guess this is goodbye.
Why? Why? Even with the power of the bracelets, why am I no match for you?
Perhaps you see it now. The path Sombron laid out for you was never the right one.
If I cannot carry out Father's wishes, then my existence serves no purpose. All my life I have sought to be valued, only to discover that I am truly worthless. I will never be like you.
You are not worthless. You are my irreplaceable twin brother. We are two halves of a whole.
Ridiculous. I already told you I am not nil.
I know.
Not Nil? What does that mean?
I don't understand. What happened to the real Nil?
He died in battle 1,000 years ago, shortly after Nell gave him her dragon stone. He wanted nothing more than to make his sister proud.
And who are you?
A fell dragon whose twin perished when I was too young to remember it. I was a lone child, with no abilities to distinguish me, surrounded by pairs of twins. Until I met Nil, my mirror image. The resemblance between us was uncanny, and we discovered we had much else in common. We were inseparable for a time, and I was all too happy to have something like a real brother. He was my other half. That was how I felt, at least. But for him, there could be no replacement for Nell. When I found him, on the battlefield, breathing his last, his only thoughts were of her. He gave me her dragon stone, and said that he wished Nell would never have to grieve. For that reason, he asked me to take his place.
So you became Nil.
I made it appear as if I had been the one to die that day. In a way, I was. There would be no one to mourn my passing. Father would not even notice.
I'm having trouble believing all of this.
Believe it, I am an imposter. You should not hesitate to kill me.
I agree, although I might be slightly biased.
I brought this world to the brink of ruin. If you allow me to live, I will do it again. Let that be your reason, if nothing else. What say you, Nell?
I knew you were not Nil from the start.
What?
I have known about his death for a long time. I saw through your ruse from the beginning. I simply chose not to confront you about it. You took his place for his sake, and for mine. That was an act of kindness. We may not have been born as twins, but I have always thought of you as my other half.
Then, you are a fool!
Say what you will. I speak the truth. You will recall how we visited the burial site at Letho's castle to say our farewells. You may not have seen that I left a pressed flower there. It was Nil's. I was not saying goodbye only to the divine dragon that day.
You were saying it to Nil, too.
I carried that flower for a long time. I suppose some part of me was unable to move on. Despite that, you became very dear to me. Your companionship saved me from loneliness and despair. I was happy to be a sister to you. I will always cherish our time together, even if you do not feel the same.
That seems very apt for the DLC.
Without you, I would never have been able to continue fighting all this time. I trusted you above all others, believed in you with all my heart. The only proof that we are not true twins is that I failed to sense your actual intentions.
Perhaps. I confess, I have longed to hear you say such things. They make fine parting words. Are you ready?
Yes.
Thank you. For everything. Goodbye, Nell.
Goodbye.
Well, that was unexpected.
Stop. What are you doing?
Nell?
There is another way to end your pain. Once I am gone, you will be free. For my part, I would rather die than lose anyone else.
No!
If only I had realized sooner, I could have prevented this. Seeing Nil and my divine dragon again may be too much to hope for. But even so, I will rest well knowing your pain is at an end.
Why would you do this? I deserve this fate, not you. You should have killed me.
I could not bear to lose a second brother. For that is what you are to me, despite it all. Before I go, will you tell me your name?
Okay, I'm ready for one last twist.
Lady Nell! No! Please, no!
She's gone. No last words of reproach. No regret for her own passing. All she wanted was to know my name. Rafal, sister. My name is Rafal.
Rafal.
So, not a twist, as far as I can tell. Just a name.
How did I forget myself? Nil asked me to look after his sister. That was his dying wish. But it was not merely his wish. It was also mine. All I wanted, all I really wanted, was to be her other half. When did I forget those feelings? You said this would be the end of my pain, Nell. But it is not. How could it ever be?
I sense something. The Dragonstone pieces, they have a strange energy about them.
That is Sombron's magic. Could it be that he cast a spell on that Dragonstone? To sow the seeds of hatred in the heart of Lord Nil, Rafal.
So, he was magically evil. I see. Interesting.
Dragonstones are destroyed by the death of their owner. Lady Nell died to break the spell.
Sombron made it so that you two would fight each other instead of conspiring against him.
Nonsense. You mean to say that it was just some spell? That all should be forgiven? Ridiculous!
I was thinking the same thing, but go on.
Regardless of Sombron's influence, I am responsible for my own actions. I chose to do what I did. It was what I wanted. I will not allow anyone else to shoulder my blame. Not even Father. I sought power and I attained it. Even now, I have no regrets about that. I only wish that I could have kept the promise I made to Nil. Divine One.
What is it?
I have heard that dragons of great power can impart their life force unto others. Do you suppose that is true?
I have absolutely no idea, but I say go for it.
Yes, my mother did that for me. But it took 1,000 years before I woke up.
Then I will do the same. I will revive Nell, even if it takes me just as long. I will dwell in this empty world alone, in the hope that she will one day rise. Perhaps that will be a fitting punishment for what I have done. And perhaps, if and when you wake, we may truly become two halves of a whole.
You will. No. You already are.
Is that so?
Rafal, after Nell wakes up, why don't you come live with me in my Eylos?
What?
I have a feeling you'd be able to travel there from here in the Somniel. It's hard to explain, but I can sense my world right now. It feels closer.
Yes. It would seem that a path to other worlds lies open. Perhaps it is due to the bracelets. I did wish to grant my father's desire, if the conquest of other worlds was part of his plan. But I believe it is as you said. It should be possible to move between worlds from here.
Then I'll grant you both my protection so you can travel there, when you're ready. The Somniel can't be entered without my blessing as a divine dragon. So come find me. That invitation is open, however long it takes for you to accept it.
You would make an ally of the one who so recently tried to kill you?
Well, I'm fairly certain that our character has limited numbers of brain cells remaining after the many blows to the head they've taken, so I think this seems perfectly in character.
If you are asking me here and now, then my answer is certainly no. That said, 1,000 years is a long time. I will say this. If, by some miracle, Nell awakens and finds it in her heart to forgive me, then, and only then, will I journey to you.
I understand.
Now, there is nothing more to say. Leave me.
As you wish. I hope to see you again, though.
Lord Rafal,
Yes?
despite all that's happened, I am grateful for the time we shared. I hope that we'll meet as allies again.
Your kindness is wasted on me.
We have a save. What comes next?
Here we are, back at Lethos Castle.
It feels as if we've been gone for ages.
So much has happened since I first met Nell and Nil here. The kings and queens, the emblems. They're all gone.
Yes, and Mavir too. What should we do now?
Well, I mean, I've got a Mavir back home if you want to meet him.
Beats me. Every nation's lost its rulers, and probably their whole populations by now. I guess we could try to rebuild, or each grab an empty throne and call ourselves rulers.
Rulers with no subjects. I fear we have little to do but bide our time until the end.
What if you came with me?
Divine One?
This world is beyond saving. You said it yourselves. There's no one left. I'm just a visitor. I have to go back before long. But if I leave you behind, I can't even be sure how long you'll survive. It would mean throwing yourselves into battle again. But still, I hope you'll consider it.
Sounds pretty good to me. Better than twiddling our thumbs to the grave, at least. I say we go. A new world might mean scary new enemies and dangers. But still.
It's an appealing proposal, but I'm not sure. I wonder what Mavir would say. Would he forgive us?
What do you mean?
We are his family, and if we go, he'll be left here all alone. It doesn't seem fair. Why should we be the lucky ones? Why do we deserve this?
Deserve what? To be happy? Madeline, what's the last thing that the big guy, that Mavir, said to you?
He said he wished me the greatest happiness.
There you have it. He'd probably tell you to look forward, not back. Even if it means leaving him behind.
You don't get to speak for him. You didn't know him like I did.
I knew him pretty darn well. We spent a ton of time together. We were practically brothers. Anyway, you gotta admit, he wouldn't want you sulking forever.
I know. Mavier would tell me to go. To try and be happy without him.
Go ahead and cry, Madeline. There hasn't been time to mourn him since it happened.
I'm sorry. You were born into this world, and I'm asking you to put it behind you. But if it makes any difference, I spoke to Rafal. He's planning to come as well, one day. You could wait for him with me.
Divine One, I share Madeline's struggle. It feels wrong to be the only ones going, to leave our Lord and Lady behind.
I understand.
But instead of languishing here, we could go to a world where our skills can be of use. And after everything that's happened, I find it difficult to turn down your request. We have been through so much together.
Yes, we have.
I'm inclined to go. Do the two of you feel the same?
Yep.
I agree.
Then from now on, the remaining winds will swear our loyalty to you as your attendants. We will go with you, Divine One.
I'm glad. I look forward to spending more time with all of you.
The feeling is mutual. All right. Remember, you two, we have to work hard as the Four Winds, even in another world.
What, we're not calling ourselves the Three Winds now?
You knew the answer before you even asked.
We four are a family, and will always be together. Nothing can change that.
All right, everyone. Let's go.
Let's go.
Now, Rafal, I'll see you again someday.
Thank you, my fellow divine dragon. I pray your future is filled with hope and love. And please, take good care of them for me.
And with that, I think we are finished with the Fel Xenologue. I have a lot to say about the Fel Xenologue. I'm trying to think of something that's good to start us off with. I think the concept as a whole was interesting and it was intriguing, and I think the trailers sold it really well as an alternative universe way of looking at the game, of things being different than they were. Also, is this Nil killing everybody? Wait a second. Maybe not. Anyway, so I think that the concept was good. I think the execution was weak. I think the problem with the execution in this one is that it wasn't so much an alternative universe thing, it was more like, what if everyone was just like a little bit evil? It was odd, right? It was flipped alignments, it didn't quite feel right. I think that the characters didn't feel as good as they could. And I say this with the context of 3 houses and 3 hopes being alternative universes of each other and alternative routes within those games. Like, having played those and seeing how the different characters were fundamentally the same, but it's like, what if this thing had changed them? That was done really well, right? That felt really good. It gave you a deeper view into the characters. The problem here is that the characters were so different, it ended up just feeling a little bit shallow. It felt not quite as I wanted it to feel. It didn't feel right. Which, I don't know. It's I guess it depends how you wanted to look at it. I just had no connection to Nil and Nell, and I think them gameplay-wise being annoying didn't help with, oh, that's nice, they get to reunite with Mavir. I mean, that's cool. That's good for both groups. Anyway, yeah, I think gameplay-wise, them being annoying, that caused... Oh, and there's... yeah, there's Nil resurrecting Nell slowly. Ah, and those are the bracelets. Oh yes, that makes sense. I was thinking those are too many bracelets, but I remembered that there's many for 3 houses. Okay. Celestia, Gregory, and Maddening joined your group. I think it's... Oh.
The weather's so beautiful today.
So there is another cutscene, but I'm just going to finish off with the story bit there where... Well, you know what? We'll pick it up afterwards.
That bright blue sky feels like a good omen.
I could not agree more.
Oh?
Huh? Nell! Rafal! I didn't expect to see you so soon.
It has been some time, Divine One.
For me, it has been 1,000 years. But Nell has returned, and we have come as promised.
It's been 1,000 years already?
My sister and I are at your disposal.
Welcome to you both. It really is a lovely morning.
Nell and Rafal joined your group. Well, that was unexpected. I knew the other 3 joined. I did not know that those 2 joined and that 1,000 years would pass quite so quickly. Okay. I thought it was going to be a thing that was kind of left open at the end there, but I guess not. They're just very, very specifically... Oh my lord, there's a lot of clear stuff we got here. Whatever a mage cannon is, mystic satchel, okay. Ton of stuff. Your units can now change to the enchanter and mage cannoneer classes. New class enchanter. Enchanters consume items and weapons to enhance themselves and their allies. Mystic satchel is required to change to this class. Item sword consumes an item to grant special effects to allies based on the item consumed. Weapon sword uses a weapon in your inventory to strengthen all weapons of the same name, ally and enemy alike for the entire battle. Mage cannoneers pelt forces with artillery shells from long range. Mage cannon is required to change to this class. For mage cannoneers, attack power scales with dexterity. Their hit rate increases with strength, build, and proximity to their target. Let Fly expends equipped shells to unleash a powerful artillery strike into an area that attacks land after 1 turn. The danger radius for Mage Cannoneer has a different appearance than usual. Okay, well that was a lot. Also, just completely out here sunbathing. Cool. Anyway, Fell Xenologue. Yeah, the story felt a little bit... It fell flat for me. I think that the characters felt shallow and I wasn't connected enough to the new characters in the time it gave us to really be invested. I think that's my problem, is that there was a lack of investment for those new characters and everything was about the new characters, about Nil and Nell. I think I would have preferred had the main characters been... Or like, the main characters it focused on were characters from the main story, but you saw them from a different context or you learned something new about them. I think that could have been good. I think there's a lot about the characters in this game that could be explored still, but I don't think that the Fell Xenologue was the right way to do that. Anyway, gameplay-wise, I do have my own... I have separate criticisms gameplay-wise. I think that having so many missions effectively be escort quests was a terrible decision, because escort quests are inherently really, really boring, at least to me. I think that they just were not fun in the slightest. I think that having Nil and Nell basically just be 2 deadweights attached to your team just didn't feel right. And I also felt my other issue with it is, I would have been fine had it just given us characters that were leveled, right? If it said, okay, here's the challenge, and here's some characters specifically leveled for the challenge. Then it's a puzzle, right? And a puzzle is fine. You know, saying, here are the pieces, figure out how you're going to progress. I think that would have been cool. What they did is they said, okay, actually what we're going to do is we're going to half level your characters. But everything to do with emblems we're not going to level. Which meant that you could be left without the pieces that the game thought you might have to defeat the missions, right? Like, we had certain characters leveled in certain ways, which didn't quite fit with how it thought that you were going to have characters leveled, which meant that we had emblems that didn't make any sense, right? And it felt a little bit weak because of that. Obviously, if we had just taken characters with the absolute base class that they had in the main game and leveled them with the emblem that made most sense for that base class, we wouldn't have had as many of these issues, but at the same time, you kind of do expect that people might level things in a different manner to the absolute default way in the game. It just would make sense. So I felt like I would have preferred if they had either let you have everything from the main game, so just let you have whatever you previously had leveled and you could use your proper party, or they had said, here is a limited party that we have leveled for you and you can use those. Either one I think would have been fine. I think this middle road they took made it feel worse than it should have felt, because your characters felt like very weak just in general, which made it just like you had weak characters, but then you had even weaker characters acting as a deadweight, and there was then constant enemy spawns, and it's just like everything was built to just be frustrating rather than to be fun. I think that this game had a lot of combat that felt fun, right? I think the bracelet maps were for the most part fun. I think that a lot of the older game map recreations were fun. I thought that a lot of them felt fair. Like, unlike Three Houses, there were a lot of maps that just felt unfair. There were lots of reinforcements that spawned out of nowhere. There was lots of like random ambushes that felt frustrating. And the base game of this had very little of that. It had very little random things that it didn't tell you about. It was very clear as to, here's what you have to get past, and here's your tools to get past it, right? While the DLC is very much like, it goes back to things feeling unfair, because it's not giving you the proper tools to deal with the situations that it's throwing at you. I don't know. It felt odd. Anyway, I have a lot more I could say about the DLC, but what I will say is the ending felt alright. I liked seeing that Mauvir and the other ones got a nice ending together. I imagine that in fact, we can actually have a look at this here as well. I imagine that the supports are interesting as well between them. Yeah, I have a Veil Diamant one that's sitting there because I was seeing how much SP I got from an arena fight and it was not enough. Let's see who we got. Like Celestia. So Celestia has things with Mauvir and with Veil. See, I imagine that these are actually quite interesting. I think that these are probably where a lot of the story from the DLC is going to come, and I think that these are going to these would retroactively make the DLC feel better. I think that's the problem I'm having here, is that if we were more attached to the characters through having supports, the DLC fundamentally feels better and it plays better, but getting the supports afterwards feels a little like it feels disconnected. I understand why they did it this way, but yeah. It's basically the same for this one, except instead of Nell, it's Rafal and then Celestia instead of himself, obviously. Madeline? Yeah, it's the same group. So it's Veil, Mauvir, us, and then the two of them at the end here. Yeah, although you've got one with Tamara and Diamant. Interesting. And then you've got one with Ivy and Alfred. Okay. Cool. It's kind of neat, actually. Yeah. I think that the supports would be cool. Also, does Rafal have anything cool going on with them? Let's have a look at these new guys while we're here. So, holds the Fell Dragon's power, halves foe's defense/res, and halves foe's defense/res effective against cavalry. and Rivalry. Well, when an ally within 2 spaces defeats a unit, grants crit. See, I think that this would be really cool to have got if we had done this at the start of a campaign and then we went through it. I think having these characters with you, that's a cool new way to play through, right? Like if you were to start from scratch, do the Fell Xenologue first, because I think it's level scaling, so I think you could do it first, and then you use these guys for a second playthrough. That sounds kind of cool, and then use the new like the new classes for that. I could definitely see how that could be neat. If a foe initiates combat against Rafal, grants crit. Interesting. Yeah, you could do something with that. Maddening has the nightly code. Survival plan: if there are more foes than allies within 3 spaces, grants Avo plus 20. You could do something really cool there. You could do some kind of like rogue build where you like you have really high Avo and you basically just dodge everything. Like you instead of having this being like, oh, if he's caught out alone, then he has Avo, you deliberately just chuck him into like piles of enemies and have him survive. That could be really cool. When a unit defeats a foe, grants 20 hit to allies within 2 spaces. I don't think there's a lot of use for that, but yeah, there are some cool stuff you could do with these guys. Yeah, interesting. Also, is this a unique class? It might be. Yeah, maybe it is. Okay, and then Fell Child isn't unique because that's what you have as well. Yeah. Okay, neat. Anyway, that is where this series is going to come to its end. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for sticking with it if you stuck with it for the whole time it was on. There was a long break between episodes, which was not deliberate. It's just finding time to grind and to theory craft. Occasionally I have to wait for gaps, as in bits where I have time off to actually be able to do that. But yeah, it was fun. I'm happy we did it, and I am definitely looking forward to any new Fire Emblem stuff that comes out in the future. Hopefully soon. It's been a couple of years since this came out, right? So I mean, there's a chance that they announce it soon. There's apparently a Nintendo Direct. I mean, apparently, actually, now that I think about it, there's a Nintendo Direct earlier in the day where this video is going to come out, I think I read. So maybe they announce a new Fire Emblem. We'll see. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.